What's up, guys? Mike Lewis here, and welcome to the Mike Lewis podcast. If you guys want to keep up with me on social media, you can follow me on Instagram at Mike Lewis Official, and you can follow me on Twitter at MikeLew52. It's where most of my updates come. But if you're enjoying my content, give me a like and a subscribe. And without further ado, let's just dive right into this episode. All right, well, Miss Kendal Sheppard, thanks for coming on the show today and taking the time to do this. How are you doing?
Oh man, that's a loaded question. I mean, I know it's a simple question. For most people, it's just, I'm good, I'm fine. And for me, I'm like, well, let me tell you everything. So I hate that question.
I know.
I'm good. Today's a good day. Sorry for, you can hear my kids arguing. They're playing Xbox right now, and it gets a little heated. So trying to be quiet at the same time, but let me know if it gets too distracting.
No, you're fine. You're fine. How is it adjusting now, like after all these years now, after not being on TV, kind of just hop back into that world? Like, how has it been dealing with, like, the fans, maybe their backlash, maybe their positivity? Has it been a whirlwind for you?
Not as much as I thought it would be. The first time around, it was like, I just wasn't prepared. I wasn't thinking about what that would be like at all. And then it just kind of hits you like a ton of bricks, and you're like, I don't know what to do with this. This time, number one, I've had 17 years to like think about how I would redo that. And I learned a lot actually from Miz and how he handled things. Well, that's the biggest difference. I have kids now. So trying to juggle all that is a little different. But yeah, so learning from Miz and how he handled things, and then I mean, it's kind of some people were a little maybe disappointed that this wasn't going to be on actual TV, that it was going to be on a streaming service. I think the feedback on that has actually been really great, but for me, I like it because then I think, well, maybe not that many people are watching. Whereas before, well, and the pandemic before, I was in my 20s out at bars or wherever, and it was like people were recognizing me all the time. It just felt really weird. And now, whenever I leave the house, I've got on a mask and my goggles because usually it's for my job. And so I really don't get recognized, which is
You're in disguise.
Yeah. So that part, I mean, honestly, it just feels like normal life. I'm probably on social media less now than I was like a year ago. But I made a lot of social media friends in the past, maybe 4 or 5 years. And so that part is kind of funny because, I log on and then people are like asking me questions about a show that I'm on. I'm like, this is weird. Normally it's like they're asking other people questions and I'm just being goofy and like commenting or whatever. I don't watch shows, but I do like to try to have like clever little tweets or something. So that part has been different, and I always get nervous when there's like an influx of followers because I'm like, oh gosh, what's going on? Like, not good usually when you get a whole bunch of followers. Like somebody's saying something, being dramatic somewhere, and now they're coming to my page to find out what I'm going to do. I'm like, nothing. I'm not going to do anything. So, yeah, but those friendships that I made over the years on social media have maintained, and it's cute because they'll like rush to my defense and like, you don't have to say anything. Like, no, we love you, and it's like, I don't know, like they're my friends, so it's kind of cool.
Yeah, it was funny you mentioned about the influx of followers, because I've had like several cast members come on, with this whole Paramount Plus thing kind of like picking up steam. They obviously it's different in your case, seeing as how like All Stars is currently airing, but say like other cast members who aren't on All Stars, they say like when they get like millions of followers rolling in, then they know that someone saw their episodes like from way back when. So then
because those are on Netflix, and
yeah.
have Netflix.
But it's just kind of funny how like fans can go back and watch and then maybe like DM cast members as if like something they did 15 years ago happened 5 minutes ago.
Yeah, yeah, that is true. For the longest time, I was forever 23 years old. No, 22 years old. Yeah,
But
and it's
you
like
were
people.
young though, right? Like start on your challenge that you did initially, like you were like on the like much younger side, right?
No, so on Road Rules, I was second oldest in our cast. So
Oh,
Darrell was older than me,
okay.
and then me, and then I mean Rachel was 18. Rachel and Sarah, I think, were both 18. So I mean that was weird because I think in a lot of cases I'm accused of being childlike, and so then to be like the oldest, I'm like, ooh, how do I act older? Do I have to like pretend like I know stuff? So it was odd. I was always used to being like the younger one in places, but no, I was definitely like the older, and but then on Inferno, I guess. Um, I was fresh off of my season, and then you had Holly, who was a little bit older than me. You had David, who was like, ancient at that time. He was like 30. Like that was like super old for a challenge. Now we got Beth, who's like 52 and killing it. It's like
Yeah.
I wonder if they I wonder if they're like, oh man, we should have done this a long time ago because it's doing pretty well.
Yeah, and for the viewers wondering, I think we had to shift their focus and kind of tell them why I'm wearing this jersey. Believe it or not, folks, I finally have a guest of mine who is a Seahawk fan, a fellow Seahawk fan of mine. And for months now, people have been always commenting like about my flag that I always have behind me. And I couldn't pass up this opportunity, seeing as how I finally, finally have a guest who's a fellow Seahawk fan. And maybe the next time you and I have a discussion, we'll be talking about maybe our team having won something. So that's something maybe we could, maybe revisit down the line, right?
We're gonna put that into the universe.
Yeah, manifest something positive.
Mhm. Mhm.
But yeah, I want to shift really fast though because I always like to talk about kind of all my guests' perspectives and their kind of takes on like maybe how the adjustment period with the pandemic like was for them. I know that you're a first responder, right? So like you were working during this whole process?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, first responder. I don't know about first responder. I'm more of a last responder. I
Oh,
work in hospice,
okay.
so you don't want me to show up at your door if you're having a heart attack. I will help you die. I will help you die peacefully, comfortably. I'll get your family there, and it's honestly the best job that I've ever had. It's amazing. Um, but yeah, nursing didn't stop. Clearly with COVID, and it got pretty scary there for a little bit. Um, but we're on the other side of it. Maybe, hopefully. I don't know. We're having an increase of cases in our area, and the numbers are down for hospice patients. And I can't help but think that that's because people died before their time, right? So if they had gone the natural course, they would have made it to us, but a lot of people didn't. So it affects people in our society in so many different ways than people really think about.
Hmm. Now, did that prepare you a little bit for the quarantine that they had you guys going through during the challenge, or how did you adjust with that? Because I've seen some cast members photos on social media of like the stuff that they fed you guys with eating and whatnot. But how did you particularly adjust to that?
Honestly, like that was the greatest week. I loved it.
Really?
Yeah. So, I mean, you fly me into a foreign country. I get to talk to my kids as much as I want. I can do yoga as much as I want. They're going to bring me meals. I don't have to decide what to eat. Like they just bring it. Um, and I, met a bunch of people on the phone, just talking to people on the cast that I didn't know. I was like, I'd like to say hi to them before I meet them, or I'm going to be really weird. And yeah, I did a puzzle. I like doing puzzles. It was really great. It was really great. I could, talk to nobody and just have my own time, or I could call up a friend and, or video chat. It was great. There's a couple moments though where I started getting like kind of goofy. I was like, oh my gosh, are they filming in here? Like, did it start already? Are they watching me? And that lasted like half a day and then I was over it. But I actually, was joking with my husband. I was like, I am, for being in quarantine with like no responsibilities, I feel like I'm the busiest person. And I even made to-do lists where I was like, I'm going to do yoga. I'm going to call this person. I'm going to give myself a facial. I'm probably going to do some more yoga. And it's like just packed every day with just a whole lot of me time. And it was awesome. I mean, I have 3 kids and I've been working nonstop and didn't get a vacation really. Beginning of last year I did, but once I switched over to hospice, I did not get a vacation. So it was, I loved it. I heard it's hard for some people.
No, yeah, definitely. I know from seeing on the news and just from other people talking about it, like some people like go real stir crazy from quarantine. So I mean, I think different people just like I don't know cope with it a certain different way. Maybe I guess it just varies with like maybe who it is.
Mm-hmm. Well, I was talking about quarantine for the show. Were you talking about quarantine, like
Well,
pandemic quarantine?
yeah, the show. Like
Oh,
I'd say like maybe you might have held up better than some others.
yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, I think I did. I really, yeah. I had a great time.
So you get the call for this. Was it like a no-brainer for you, like I'm gonna go, or was it something like you had to like really kind of like decide and come down to a last decision on?
Yeah. I mean, when they invited me, I was like, yeah, sure, okay, but didn't really think anything. I mean, we're in a pandemic. Like, is this really going to happen? Are we really going to go to another country? Like, airports are shutting down all the time. Like, I just didn't really think it was going to happen. So, like, yeah, okay, okay. Well, I didn't even like tell anybody. Like, my best friend didn't even know when I got like the official call. I didn't even tell her for like maybe a week or something. And I mentioned it, and she's like, "You didn't tell me that." I was like, I didn't, because I just didn't really think it was going to happen. And I was so busy with work that it was like this, it was just a in the background thing. Um, and it stressed me out to think about it because I didn't know how it was really going to work. We've got, kids at home doing the homeschool virtually, so I'm like, I mean, how are we going to do that? And then, fortunately, unfortunately, my husband was on furlough for like 6 months. So I thought, well, I guess if I was going to go, he's home, so he'll be able to, take care of the kids and do all of that. So I guess this is a really good time, except for he started work again like the Monday before I left.
Wow.
I know, I know.
What a
I
coincidence.
know. And my boss was like, I can't give you that time off. I was like, yeah, I figured. And then I think she got scared that she's gonna lose me because they pay you a good amount to go do it. And she knew my husband was out of work and I was like, that'd be really good money. And she's like, oh my gosh. So she was able to figure out a way to get me to go. And so when things like started to fall into place, I'm like, okay, I think this is gonna happen. But I didn't even send my contract back.
Wow.
Maybe a couple weeks before I left, and they kept asking me like, "Did you sign your contract? Did you sign?" I was like, yeah, it's coming. I'm waiting on this, and I just didn't really know. And then I had some questions about the contract and things that I didn't agree with, and I don't know, I got busy. It's just funny to me because I always thought like, if when I get a call, I would drop everything and just run. And when I did, it was the farthest thing from my mind. Had it been a year before though, like before COVID, I think it would have been different. But
Right.
and I also felt like guilty, like my coworkers are busting their asses too, and I'm gonna leave them. You know, there's people dying who need me. I'm gonna leave them. So things just didn't quite sit right. Until I did tell a couple patients, okay, so I'm not going to really be your nurse. And they're, kind of upset at first. I'm like, what's going on? So, okay, so I kind of explained what was happening. And they got so excited. And then they were like, oh, I can't wait to watch. And I was like, okay, now I feel like this is like things are really starting to make sense. I'm supported by my patients who I'm leaving. My kids didn't really know. Like, I didn't even tell my kids until the night before. Like, I don't know. I just kept thinking it wasn't really going to happen. So, anyway, yeah. There's a long story. I'm not very good at quick, short answers.
Oh, you're fine. Were you getting any calls for the main show at all over the past few years, or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mainly, they called me for a long time, and then I like went into hiding for like 10 years. And then I reached out to one of the producers. Like I kept in touch with some of the production staff over the years, and I had heard that like Darrell had gone back, and he said it was fun. So I was like, maybe. So I reached out and said, hey, heard Darrell's back, or he had a good experience. I might be interested. And then they were like calling, and I said, well, no, I would do like Champs versus Stars or something.
Oh.
And they're like, I don't know if it might have been Dirty 30 or something like that. And they're like, are you sure you're not a full season? I was like, no. And then I think the next one or two after that, then they asked, like, kept asking. And I was like, maybe, yeah, I think I would do it. Thinking like I would go, I'd be the old woman, I'd get sent home right away. Like, that would be that. And so I wouldn't have to worry about being away from my kids for 3 months because I'd be sent home immediately. So that was my thought process. Okay, well, if I kick me off, then it'll be okay. And then, and then there's a rumor of like old school and new school, and I was definitely down for that. And then I started like sending all of the people that I'd kept in contact with, like all the cast members, started sending all of their information to casting as well, because I thought, well, I mean, if I can get like as many of my friends on it. Wait, what is this? What does it say? Are you good? It says, are you good? Anyway, if I can get as many like my friends on the cast, then I'll be set up, right? So I was like reaching out to all the people I liked. Like, would you be interested? They're like, sure. So I'm like sending them to casting. Hey, how about this one? How about this one? And they were like, oh, this is actually really helpful. So that was cool, but then it didn't go anywhere. So, and then this call, I was like, well, it's probably not going to go anywhere because the last thing didn't pan out. I'm glad I said yes.
Yes, social media was in a stir. Not this past season of the main show, but the one before, because everyone was speculating. The big rumor around town was that Tori was going to be there, and then she ended up not. And then I don't know if it was you that everybody thought that was because, I don't know, but
yeah, I feel bad about that. I feel really bad about that. It was really innocent, though. It really was. Where Tori and I talk like several times a day, which is crazy because we weren't on the same shows ever, and we didn't even like really become friends until we started out as Twitter friends.
Wow, seems like how friends start on the challenge.
Yeah. Right. And then we just hit it off, and we just talked and like nonstop and made each other laugh. Oh my gosh, she's so funny. So I called her in the morning time and she didn't answer. I was like, what the heck? And then sent her messages like through Instagram, through Twitter, like, hey, nothing. So it's like by the end of the day, I'm like, gosh, that's really weird. It's just really weird. And I don't remember if it was the same day or the next day, but so finally I just like put out a missing persons report on Twitter. I'm like,
Oh
has
gosh.
anybody seen Tori? She's not answering her phone. And then that, I guess, is the same day that people left. So everybody was like, oh, she must be on. And I was like, oh my God. I said, no, she's not. And they're like, you're just covering for her. You're lying. You have to say that. I'm like, no, I don't. By this time, I had talked to her. And she's like, oh my gosh, what the heck is going on? Because we're seeing this whole thing. And she's like, well, maybe we should just let it ride out and see what happens. I'm like, oh crap, now I gotta like lie to people or something. I don't know. So then I'm like, okay, I'll just play along and be like, oh, how's Tori doing? Wink, wink. I'm like, oh, she's good. And I mean, she's fine. But yeah, honey. Okay. I'll be there in a few minutes. Um, so yeah, it's kind of, and then people were mad at me, but it really wasn't anything initially. But after it took off, we're like, okay, well now I guess you're on. Like, so what do we do? and she was like, I don't know, I'm just kind of, I think we all go through phases where we're like, oh, the Twitter is just too much, right? And so she was kind of in that space where she's like, I just need a break from it all. So we're like, well, let's just write it out, see what happens. And then I guess people started coming home and they were saying she wasn't there. Oh, but I guess they were saying Tori was there because it was the other Tori or something. And so that was like confirmation.
Right, yeah, because I had your Tori on last June, and we kind of squashed the whole thing. She walked me through like what the whole situation was, but wow, that got a lot of people excited because man,
Yeah, and a lot of people were really mad, but the fact that so many people were so upset when they found out she wasn't on, I was like, that'll tell you something right there, right? Like the old school people are loved dearly.
yeah, And did you guys have any conversations, you and Tori, about potentially going on this All Stars together? Because I think a lot of people would have liked to see you guys, kind of link up on the show.
Yeah, yeah, we were ready,
Uh,
and it was kind of pressing up against a timeline for her with work, and so. And you never know. Like with production, it's like everything ended up getting pushed back a week anyway.
yeah.
And so they tell you one thing and it kind of changes like, oh, it's going to be 2 weeks. And then it's 2 weeks plus quarantine. And then it's 2 weeks plus quarantine and an extra week. And we're like, wait a minute. We're all parents. We agreed to 2 weeks and now it's a month. So, oh, no. It's not a month. It's just shy of a month, which means it was like, 3 weeks and 6 days. And they're like, no, it's not a month. It's not a month. Come on. So, yeah, but we were ready. I was excited. And then they just couldn't really make a casting decision by the time that she needed to know. Yeah, and now she's pregnant, which is so cool. But yeah, so I think she's going to be in mom mode for a while.
Yeah. So who did you kind of come into this game, kind of like, did you have anybody that like you thought you were going to be like working with, or were you kind of just riding it solo? I mean, obviously there's the element of you and Darrell that's kind of like an unspoken thing from your road rule season.
You would think. You would
No?
think.
Is there something that we don't know, maybe potentially?
Well, I called him when I, found out I was cast, and I wanted to know like who else is out there. And I said, "Are you gonna do it?" He's like, "Nah." Like, "You're not?" And he's like, "No." And whatever reason wasn't gonna work out. And I was like, I don't know. I feel like he's lying, and 'cause I feel like I can tell when he's lying. Shane is terrible there. And so I was like, I don't really know if he's being truthful. I was like, but I'm not going to read into it, whatever. He says he's not going, he's not going. And then, like the week of or the week before or something, we left. He's like, calls me up and he's like, Okay, I feel bad. So I lied. It's like, oh yeah, I kind of thought you did. He's like, I'm going. But he didn't want to like jinx it or something. I don't know. I think he was making other plans, but that's
Mm.
okay. I didn't expect anything from anybody. I never do. I figured he's got so many friends, right? I wasn't gonna put that kind of pressure on him to be like, hey, you want to buddy up with me, who hasn't been on a show in 17 years and knows no one and only did one show and has like no experience. Hey, you want to be my partner? Like, I'm not going to ruin his game that way. But I did believe that if there was a way for him to like throw me a bone here and there or like give me some tips on the sly, like he would do that because like ultimately, we're homies. But yeah, there was no alliance there. In fact, he lied to me. I reached out to Katie ahead of time. Katie and Tori are friends, and so kind of caught up with her last year. I mean, we probably talked like a handful of times, but we didn't even really discuss like no game planning or anything like that. It was just like, you're going, okay, cool. And like when all of the like availability calls went out, and then everyone's talking like, I don't know, would I do it? I don't know, because there's always, now we're adults and with real lives and real jobs and kids and who are looking up to us, and do we really want to go on TV and like look like a jerk and then have a hard time getting a job and have your kids questioning you like, why did you do that? That was mean. So you really really think about things twice as an adult. So Katie was kind of on the fence, and I was like, yeah, me too. I don't want to look like an idiot. So, but like, well, if you do it, maybe I'll do it. And so it was kind of reassuring to hear that, she was going to do it. Although I was shocked because when I called her a few years back and asked her, like, the old school, new school thing, I was like, would you do it? And she's like, hell no. Like, no, like really? Even if it was like all old school people, like she's like, no, I am not gonna go sleep in bunk beds. Are you kidding me? I'm an adult. It's like,
Yeah, it's funny because I actually spoke. Katie came on the show early November, and then all the fans on Twitter were like, "Oh, what a bummer! She just said on Mike's show that she wouldn't do it." And then lo and behold, she popped up on the cast list. So everyone was just like, "Katie must have just lied to him." But I mean, I'm not complaining. I mean,
no, she wasn't. She wasn't
more
lying.
Katie
She
in our
really
lives
didn't
isn't
want
the
to
worst thing.
do it.
So.
I think this was just such a unique circumstance, and the fact that it was supposed to is a bait and switch, but it was supposed to be 2 weeks, and so that's really how they hooked in all the parents. So it wasn't that she lied before. It was that they provided a sweet deal, and she got to work like the entire time in quarantine.
Oh
Um,
wow.
so she worked remotely. A few people were. Casey was working remotely as well. I tried, but my manager wouldn't let me because I have to be available to go on visits if somebody needs me,
Right.
and couldn't do that. Not from Argentina. Um, yeah, I didn't know anybody. I reached out to Yes on Instagram like end of December, and um, so I reached out to Yes, and like we were talking off and on, and like kind of this nonstop like DMing and connecting that way. And then in quarantine, like we were a lot, and then it was a little bit more game focused. Like um, he'd been like researching people to see what their stats are, and like all of this. Like he put a lot of thought into all of this, and I'm like, maybe I should be doing that. He made flashcards
Wow.
even.
Well, he
Yeah.
is an architect though, right? Isn't he?
What?
He's an architect or something like that, right?
Yeah, a really good one. Like some of his designs are just,
Well, that's very architect-esque, I'd say, with the way he.
right. Yeah. Oh, yeah. He sent me. we would just swap pictures of things we're doing, like, oh, here's my puzzle, and that was my training. And then he had like poor connection or something, and so he sent me a picture of, got a chair, and then like all of these things stacked up on top of each other, and then like his work computer on the top, and it was like very architectural. This is what an architect does when they have poor connection. For me, I'd be hanging my phone out the window or something, and he's got it all built up. It was pretty funny. So I was kind of hoping like that he would have my back. Didn't quite work out that way. But he's a good guy. He's a great guy. It was just so frustrating how people are. Not him, other people. Oh man. Okay, I'm getting in my head. So I can't tell you stuff.
It's okay. Well, let's talk about what we can talk about though. We gotten this far without talking about some game stuff. So I'm sure you've talked about it in other places, but this is gonna be my first time hearing about it. So this will be a little bit of a loaded one. What went down with the whole daily challenge during the trivia slash the deliberation? Was it really? Were you confused about what TJ told you, or you just didn't, want to like jump and get hurt? What really went down?
Oh man, I think my connection is really poor. I think we might have to just end this podcast actually. I'm just kidding.
Oh, I was like, I can see her fine.
When things get uncomfortable, I retreat. That's my MO. Like what actually happened, or why did I freak out in deliberation, or being on the platform?
Both. What happened daily and then the deliberation?
So in the daily, gosh, it's so frustrating. It's so dumb. It was a mistake, really, is what it was. And we'd been up there for freaking ever. It was super hot, and I was nervous. And everybody's platform broke either on the second one, or if they were lucky to get to the third, like the third one broke. Although Arissa had to get it an extra little like push, but hers cracked. She was just like levitating on this cracked board because she's just magic like that. So mine didn't break. It didn't crack at all. And I'm like, well, that's weird. And so when TJ said, give it a hop, I was like confused, I guess. I mean, I thought I knew what I was doing. And so I went to hop, and I hopped off. And I was like, that's not what I meant to do. And then I was really confused. I'm like, wait a second, because when you get it wrong, you go forward. And I got the thing wrong, so I was going forward, and I'm like, wait a second. But now I'm on the ground. This isn't right. This is not right. Okay. And then TJ was probably like, so, like third person embarrassment or whatever. It's like, it's fine. Just turn around and jump on it the other way. So, I mean, I wasn't disqualified for it. It wasn't like, oh, you did something really bad. It was like, oh, okay, screwed up. Just like do the thing, right? And then I was trying to figure out how safely, because I doubt anybody tested it going that direction, right? Because nobody, when they do the test, nobody else is going to be dumb enough to screw it up. So then it was like trying to work it out. And then finally he just said, never mind, just come sit down. So like, I was like let down, because I wanted my kids to like see me do something cool. And I didn't get to do anything cool. Like I did trivia, like that's lame. So and I like did so terrible. Well, not so terrible, but I almost died in that first challenge. So I was like, that's not a good look either, right? So I really wanted to like do something, and then I was just sitting up there on the platform, just feeling sorry for myself, like until the end of the thing. thought about like, I actually asked you can I just run off the end? And he just didn't answer me. Okay. So it really bothered me when people were saying like I did it intentionally, that I refused to do it. They said I said I'm not going to do it or something, which I never did. But that's what they said they heard. But I didn't say it. If I had, they would have loved to air that. But I
Yeah,
didn't.
yeah. Sure.
They said I didn't want to smash my face, which do you? Like, who does, right? I was like, I don't want to get hurt, but I want to do it. So show me how to do it. How do I do this safely? Yeah, so it's just frustrating because it's like calling me a liar and all of this. And it's like, first of all, the people who are really upset by it weren't even up there. And second, like, if it was that big of a deal, I would have been disqualified. Third, I never refused. I never refused. In fact, if anything else, I was way harder on myself than everybody else was on me because I wanted my kids to see me doing something cool. I wanted to be like, cool mom,
Yeah, yeah.
not looking like cool mom. So that was just frustrating. And then it's like, okay, so if I want them not to be upset with me, then I need to say that, oh yeah, whoops, sorry, I guess I did lie. Like I really was scared, even though saying that is a lie. And so it's like either I
lose.
Yeah, either I lie and say that I was scared, or I'm. What's more embarrassing is I just got confused.
Right.
Like I would love to be able to say that was a strategy of mine, right? Oh, because that's intentional and that's powerful, and that would be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna, just not do it. Because Darrell told me, he's like, you found a loophole. He's like, I don't find a loophole. Like you're giving me way too much credit. Like there was nothing like premeditated about this at all. It was just like I just blanked and did the wrong thing. And then people have done stuff like that in the past. People have actually refused to do things like that in the past, and nobody sent them to elimination. It was they just didn't do it, and everybody moved on. And I didn't mean to mess up, and it had no impact whatsoever on anybody's placement. It didn't change the game at all. It wasn't even a part of the game. The game was trivia. Mm-hmm. How you leave, how you know your turn is up, is you fall.
So what then went down when you were trying to explain that to everybody in the deliberation? Did you kind of just like freeze in the moment? Was it kind of like one of those situations where you get picked to read your project in front of the class first? Is that kind of the situation that it was?
Yeah, when you thought your project was due tomorrow, only now you're asking to give it today. It was that, and it was just I was so frustrated because I felt like there was a lot of accusations, and I'm not a very persuasive person to begin with, because I just feel like everybody's gonna have their own thoughts. They come to their own thoughts on their own way, and that's great. You have your opinion, I'll have my opinion, and we can all move along, together. And so for me to try to convince people of something, it's just not really who I am. I just, let's just be, and we're all okay. And so they're like, okay, Kendal, plead your case. And it's like, is anybody else going to plead their case? Like, it's just me? Like, so I have to defend myself, and then you guys decide if I'm worthy or not? Or is it, are we going to go one by one, and every girl is going to say why they shouldn't go in, or it's just me? I mean, it just felt like they've already decided. They already had talked. There's clearly alliances, and I'm not in one. So that's sort of like the common link between all these different groups. The common link is I'm not a part of any of them. So And then that was making me mad because I was like, just own that. Just say that. Just say, we vote for you because you're not in our group.
Hmm.
That's honest. That's fair. It's a game, and I did not prepare accordingly. And instead, I felt like they're coming up with a reason. They need a reason to get buy-in from other groups, right?
Yeah.
Because otherwise, I mean, it could be them. So felt like since I got there that people were looking for a reason. I felt like I was under a microscope. And Darrell was even like, hey, you gotta like chill a little bit. I'm like, I mean, I thought we were picked for who we are and our personalities, and it's okay to be ourselves. And then I was feeling like anytime I'm having fun or just being free and, whatever, it was like, oh, she's doing this. I'm like, why does anybody care if I'm doing that? Like, so, so, and yes, it said, he thought that I should go in, and I was really frustrated. I'm like, really? Like, I thought you would like have my back on this. He's like, no. He goes, everybody's looking for a reason to put somebody in, and you gave them a reason. I'm like, well, it's not a very good one. He's like, it might not be a good one, but it's a reason. And I'm like, ugh. So he's like, I think you should just say, that's it. Like, I'm gonna do it. Go in there, just kick some ass, come back out, and you're good. I was like, I just didn't feel like I didn't like that it wasn't a discussion. But for me, if I'm gonna come up with a solution to something, then I want input from everybody, right? Like let's talk this out. Let's think about all of our options. Let's come up with a plan together. And so I don't know why I was thinking like going in there that it'll be a deliberation, right? We'll all talk about it. And I didn't realize that everybody had already talked about it until it was like, clear to me that I was the only person who had to, try to get out of it. And I don't think anything that they'll say, oh, you should have owned it. You take accountability. And it's like, well, I did say I messed up. I did say that. So I don't know. When all of this stuff continues still, it's like I don't understand what they want me to say other than to lie. Because if I say that it was intentional,
Hmm.
then they are justified in their reason, right?
Yeah.
So it really is what it feels like when it has nothing to do with any of that. The only thing is they needed somebody to go in. I wasn't in an alliance. Everybody could agree on this person, low-hanging fruit, right? So that's why. And then to make it out to be like I'm this, horrible liar. I'm like, really? You're gonna like name call and make up these things about a human being when you're just covering your butt? Like, just this is frustrating.
Yeah, I want to ask though, because this is kind of something that's been on the minds of a lot of the fans as well. Do you feel like that event in particular is maybe what kind of maybe rubbed, namely Gisela and maybe Jemmy the wrong way? Because I've noticed that fans have been wondering and seeing that they've kind of been like coming after you a little bit on the after shows. So, what was there any? Do you feel like that's maybe the stem of it, or was there anything more underlying that we haven't seen, or what's maybe your stance on that?
I think, I'm a people pleaser, and so I've been working really hard, actually, you can't tell, to try to like stand up for myself and use my voice and my authority, as my therapist calls it. And so I didn't. So when you watch Inferno, how many years ago? 17 years ago, I felt horrible because they're targeting Katie. Then I put a wrench in their plans by winning and getting the lifesaver when they were trying to give it to Timmy to send Katie into elimination again. And I was not going to, let that happen. So I got the lifesaver. Well, now I've got the whole team mad at me, and I don't like people being upset with me. So I'm like, well, how there has to be a way where we can all win, right? There has to be a way. If there's only one winner in a group of 5, then we're not looking deep enough. So that's when I thought, okay, if I put myself in, they'll be happy because Timmy's not going in. Katie will be happy that she's not getting thrown in. I'll be happy because they're not targeting her and they're always mad at me. so I put myself in. And then after that, years later, you think about, was that a good move? Well, not really. So it's like, I'm not going to do that again. I'm not going to put myself in there if I don't think I should be there. And so it was really important to me to hold my truth and to stand up for myself and to say, no, I'm not going to let you guys, push me around and make me say something that I don't believe to be true, even though it would have made the rest of the time a lot easier, I think. And really, when I think about it, I'm going to get in trouble. This is the thing. It's like I say something and then it's like it starts a whole other thing. But I should be allowed to say things. But it's not the popular opinion. And I think that's the problem, is that I've never liked, so I don't like a herd mentality kind of thing. And I think that's kind of where the challenge is turned into, where it's like, you can't, it seems so rigid to me. You can't be yourself. You can't, you gotta like minimize yourself. And I had been minimizing myself for so many years that I didn't want to do that anymore. So I think because I wouldn't just go along with the group, I think that may have ruffled some feathers. And then as long as I'm standing my ground, then it makes it look like they're lying, they're, making stuff up, which I don't believe anybody's lying. I think that was their perception and what happened. I think that's what they believe happened, but it's not actually what happened. There were some assumptions that were made to make them believe that, right? So I'm not upset with anybody for that perception. We are all entitled to our own opinions. What's hurtful is when, there's names being thrown around, oh, she's a liar, she's this, she's that, I don't trust her. Those things are hurtful. And, ultimately, whether you believe me or not, I went into elimination. I did it. Like, that should be it, right?
Do you feel like maybe some of the females are a little threatened by you, like competitor-wise, athletically?
I think. Well, Jenny says, in this last episode, she said she had her eye on me from the beginning, and I don't know if that was because she thought I would be a good competitor. Which is funny because she was like pushing me to room with her, oh, Kendall, go put your stuff in that room, go put your stuff. And I was like, why? And she's like, go put it in, go put your stuff in there. I was like, well, I want to check out the other rooms. I want to see, who has a balcony, who has the better bathroom. And so then finally I was like, well, I guess, if she wants me in there, it'd be more comfortable to room with somebody who wants me there. So I did. So it's funny to hear her say that she had her eye on me since the beginning. I was like, I thought maybe you were up to something. Yeah, that aftermath thing, that really hurt. That really, really did. I did not expect that. And I didn't watch the aftermath on the first one. It wasn't until people started messaging me all this stuff on Twitter and Instagram. What the heck? What did you do to Hisela and Jemmy? I was like, Jemmy? I knew that Hisela wasn't a fan of me. That I knew. Wasn't surprised, but Jenny, like, I really like Jenny. Like, a lot. It's not like we were friends going into it or anything, but being roommates, she was really encouraging, supportive. Like, she's really great. and I left, and like, she's one of the people that I really missed. Like when I got home, I was like, oh, I miss Jemmy. Like she's funny, she's fun. So when I heard that and I went and I watched it, and I was just like, my jaw was on the floor. Like, are you kidding me? Like, is this, what is this? Like, and I had to like do the math. Like, when was the filming? Like, when did, and I was like, no, this is like recent. So that, and we haven't talked since. So I don't really know what triggered that response. I had heard that she had, some wine. I think everybody did.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I mean, there was some really hurtful things that were said in there that that sucked. So I don't know if that was something that bothered Jemmy the entire time. She didn't show that.
Wow. But I think that answers a lot of questions, at least from your end now, because pretty much from speaking to you, it seems like it might be a little, I don't want to say one-sided, but it seems like maybe more so on their end, so that might have just cleared things up a little bit for your end of the bargain. But
Well, I know. I mean, like in the house, Casella was very clear how she felt, and so was Anissa. Less Anissa. Well, not necessarily less, just in different ways. And so Anissa to say, she does say like I'm a threat on the show,
yeah.
that, and so, and I respect that. It's like awesome. And actually, in the last episode, when she says my name, she's like, "Oh, this is a good competitor." So in the last the spontaneous like nomination, and she says, "Oh, she's a good competitor, so I want to take her out, like Kendal." And I was like, which I saw coming anyway. And she goes, "Hey, it's a compliment." I was like, "Keep your compliments." And but it was funny, and it was straightforward. And actually, I felt like from then on, because she had finally like given a reason, because she was like kind of I don't know, just like not very kind, but it wasn't anything that she necessarily said. It was just like the interactions just weren't very, I don't know, it just made me feel like I was never wanted in the room, or I was invisible, like Ruthie said. When Ruthie said that on the show, I was like, I know that feeling, because she does it to me too. But after that, once it was out there, hey, I don't want you here because you're good, then it was like, okay, all right.
Mm-hmm.
And then we actually kind of got along a lot better after that, because now it's about the game, right? It's not a personal thing. It's not, you're a liar and I don't like you and I want you gone. It's, hey, you're good and you're in my way, so you gotta go.
So now we're kind of starting to see you, someone you are gravitating towards. It kind of seems as you and Kellyanne are kind of, coming into your own a little bit and kind of working together a little bit. It's like a two-woman power trip, I guess you could call it. What were there any? How do you feel like you and Kellyanne started, growing closer on the show?
Yeah, well, I think we were paired up a lot, and so I think about, gosh, the times that I've done really well. She was there. She was on my team. And you could easily, like if I volunteered to be captain and she wants me out, she could easily just like screw it up so that I get thrown into elimination, right?
Yeah.
But she did. I mean, this girl is so like, she's just wired different. She just goes like full speed, hardcore, like nonstop. There's a competition, like she's scary. She like, she gets like intense, like laser beam eyes. I'm like, whoa, I'm stay out of her way. And she's just good. And so I think, being on teams together, like helped us get to know each other. Also, there were things that she did that I was just like, she's good. Like, she's a good person, where, there was sort of this, people were talking smack about somebody who wasn't there. And she was like, hey, I don't think it's cool to talk about somebody who's not here. And then you guys are wrong for blah, 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 blah. And then people started jumping on her and she's like, no, and she wasn't having it. And I'm like, wow, like, wow, okay. And then they're just like, all right, whatever. And they dropped it. And I just thought, like, that's really cool. Like, she thinks for herself, and I really admire that. Um, she's not just going to go along with the group just to go along with it or because it's easier. In fact, she'll take the harder way if it means standing up for something she believes in. So I think that's incredible. Um, and she's also like so much fun. So on the bus rides there, she was always like telling stories or dancing, or I mean, she was just so much fun to be around. And then I always got excited if we got on the bus and there was like an empty seat next to her. I'm like, can I sit there? She's like, yeah. So she just makes everybody feel comfortable and welcome. And I definitely gravitate towards people like that, because if I don't feel welcome, then I just go to the other bus. Like, I'm not gonna even like try to, weasel my way in there. I'm just like, okay, there's a whole other bus. I'll go there. So yeah, she's just really cool. And the whole yoga thing, like she's a yoga instructor. And then she's into like kind of this holistic medicine type stuff. She knows a lot about supplements, and so I had my journal out, and she's like, "Oh, write this down. You should look this up when you go home, and you might want to think about this supplement for this." And I'm like, "Wow." And she also is going through like some health stuff, and so have I. And just lots of tests trying to figure out what the heck has been going on. And so we bonded over that as well, just kind of swapping ideas. Hey, have you tried this? Have you looked at that? And we have a lot of similarities. And so that, that's helpful when you're getting to know someone. You're like, oh, I know exactly where you're coming from. So, but still, in the back of my mind, it's like, why is she giving me the time of day? Like, is she trying to just like keep me close so that she can take me out? Like what? There's always that suspicion. Yeah, but she's awesome. I'm very, very thankful. So thankful she was there. And Tori actually, was friends with her, and so she had told Kellyanne, oh, you're really gonna like Kendal. And Tori told me, she's like, no, I really think that you should get to know Kellyanne when you get there. She's good people. Okay, so to have somebody come with a recommendation from someone you trust, I was like, okay, but when you're there, it's a totally different environment. So, I mean, if Tori was there, I don't even know that I would have trusted Tori, and she might not have trusted me. Like, it's just, it's weird, and because people are doing these little like mind trick things with you that make you question everything. Where I told Anissa, oh yeah, I really like Kellyanne, and she's like, oh yeah, Kellyanne's like my best friend. I mean, it was like anything. She's like, oh no, she's more loyal to me than you, kind of thing. And so it just you question everything. Darrell, and I said something like that about Darrell. I'm like, really? I didn't know you guys were that close. And he's like, yeah, we're not. Okay, so like it's just this psychological like mess of a game that people play, and they don't touch on that in the show. Yeah, so you gotta be really sturdy up here to make it on there. Unless
For sure. But it was fun getting to chat with you today and having you on the show, and I hope you had as much fun as I had, and maybe the next time that we're having a discussion, it might be about potentially you winning a challenge or maybe our team winning something. So let's hope for that.
Let's be on the winning team, whatever it is.
Yeah. I'll tag you and all that fun stuff once this is up.
Okay.
All right, take care.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.